stream number 1, though I think people are already here and waiting. So that'll be fun. It says I'm offline. I am not offline. I am actually streaming. Come on, Twitch. Let's do this. Okay. I am now live. Huh. Alright, hello. Thank you. I do not know who any of you are. I'm like the definition of that SpongeBob meme where Patrick returns home and he looks underneath his home and there's just a bunch of eyes there. Just like, and he's like, "Who are you people?" Oh yes, hello. My voice is very dead, I apologize. I'll just wait here for a bit. Oh my god, there's already so many of you. Why are there so many of you? Hello everyone, it's so nice seeing everyone. Thank you to your people who are identifying themselves from the server. It's really great seeing you. And for new people, welcome, welcome. It's very nice to see all these people at Dazecon. Welcome. I can't believe we reached over 300 people. Oh shit, Danny is here. Luna, you're very right. Yeah, I am pretty dead at the moment. Can everyone hear me well? Is audio alright? Besides, you know, me just sounding pretty dead. Great to hear, thank you. Alright, then if I believe that this is as many people as we're gonna get. Thank you to everyone for just rushing in here after the last panel. The audio has a weird glitchiness to it. Well, I don't know what to do about that. Is that the same for everyone? Oh shit. But anyway, welcome to my panel, Kagelore 2020. It's also a Q&A panel. But this, first I will just start off with the presentation. So a PowerPoint presentation, it has been literally years since I have done a presentation from scratch, so please forgive me. Especially with talking. I will not promise that I will pronounce everything correctly, even though I am pretty good at that. But, alright, let's go. Will there be memes? There will not be memes, I'm sorry, I treated this legit like a scholar. But yes, so I will explain the lore of Kagelore to the best of my ability, and it will be done chronologically. Just a warning, as you probably know, there will be major spoilers for Kagelore. If you've read the manga, or maybe the light novels, and or watched the anime, you should know most of this. But just so you know, I'm gonna go over major plot before answering any questions you have about the meta of the series, to the best of my ability. Just a warning though, I am human, so I can be wrong, and if I am wrong about anything, I am so sorry. You can either let me know, or you can just not let me know. You know, sometimes ignorance is bliss. Okay, but let us start. And so if you have any questions about Kagelore lore that come to your head, either right now or during my presentation, or even afterwards, here's the link. It's a Google form. If you want to submit more than one question, you could just resubmit the form, I believe. This link will be available on every single slide, so I'm sorry you're gonna have to meticulously type that. I'm just kidding. Here's the link in the Twitch form, in the Twitch chat. But yes, just spread that around, please, because I'm not gonna paste it again. Alright. The webpage is not available. Well, that sucks. Let me go fix that. It's available for me. Works for you? Okay, it works for other people, so I'm so sorry for whoever it did not work for. But yes, don't lose that link. Alright, no any questions? Right here. Alright, let's go. So, if you ever read the Bible, it's sort of like this. In the beginning, there was nothing. There was just darkness. In the Kagelore world, there was also just darkness and also red eyes. Well, the owner of these eyes, we know them. And the owner of these eyes had a wish, and after forming this wish, the world around it began to form. The world began to form, light came in, and then so did life. Eventually, the owner of these eyes ran into humans, and after running into humans that attacked it, it gained its own body, and it became this cute little Medusa that we know. And then eventually, she met a snake. If I recall, she met a snake who talked to her, and then after she met a snake, she began to make her own snakes in her hair. So basically, Azumi made a bunch of snakes, and these snakes are actually manifestations of her own wishes. So basically, each snake gets... Oh no, I'm starting to lose words. Each snake has a set of powers that it can give to its owner, and these powers are directly related to the wish that created each snake. Azami's Jesus confirmed 2020. You're very, very close to that. Azami's more like God himself, I would say. Because, she wants something, and the world itself will accommodate her. Okay, so... So she did get a bunch of snakes. I believe that there's like 9 or 10 total for her, specifically, but I do want to cover some very important snakes that she got based on her wishes in the order that she got them. So technically her very first wish was just to find out what she is. And the wish that, or the snake that came out of that wish was Snake of Clearing Eyes, and I'm sure many of you know who the snake is. But yes, the wish was to know her existence. But at the very same time that she had this wish, she couldn't, this wish was made in the pure darkness that I mentioned before, so she couldn't find out who she is without light and a world where she can explore and find out more about herself. So at about the same time as the Snake of Clearing Eyes made, the Snake of Combining Eyes was also made. And what the Snake of Combining Eyes can do is alter reality itself, because the wish that created it was the wish to have a world where she could fulfill her wish for Clearing Eyes. A bit complicated, I know. But, basically these two snakes were made almost at the same time to create the world around Azami so that she could find out who she is. And as we know, the Snake of Combining Eyes is also the Queen Snake. It uses other snakes to affect reality itself as well. And after she met humans, she realized that one can have a physical body, so her third wish was to have one. So the Snake of Awakening Eyes was created, and that's how she got her first body. Afterwards, she left the cave that she was born in, and she met a bunch of humans and got attacked by them, left and right. The Snake of Awakening Eyes also allows Azami to be immortal and invincible, so if she dies, she can get better. But even though she can just revive, she ended up getting a lot of self-defense powers because humans frightened her. So, she ended up getting almost all over other snakes just from meeting humans and wanting to have a self-defense, tactics against them. She created all her other snakes. Would Opening Eyes have been created around the same time as Awakening, I read just now, and the answer is maybe. I didn't really think of that. Honestly, I think Opening Eyes is actually a product of self-defense from humans, but I don't really know how she could have used that back then without technology. Opening Eyes is a very strange snake. And yes, I know that Favoring Eyes is actually made later. I said almost all her snakes were created. Oh, I put Favoring there. I'm sorry, an example. This PowerPoint was made when I was very, very tired. Okay, though. Some things happened to Azumi though, and eventually she got a name and a family, and they're very cute. She made favoring eyes out of her love for her daughter, and these three were very content until one day Azumi realized that she was going to outlive her husband very quickly, because for her 100 years is nothing. And so she began to panic a lot. That's when the Snake of Clearing Eye spoke to her for the first time, and he told her to create a separate reality where time stands still, where she can live with her family forever, dubbed the Kagelore days. You see, the Snake of Clearing Eyes... Sorry, I'm just reading comments right now. Snake of Clearing Eyes, he was originally made to help Azumi fulfill her #1 wish, which was to find out who she was. However, when she got a loving husband and a loving daughter, she stopped having that desire. And instead, her desire, first she didn't have one, she was content with life. And then her desire became to live with her family forever. And so the original wish that made the Snake Clearing Eyes had changed. And remember that snakes are manifestations of Azumi's wishes. So the fact that the wish that created him that had changed was like actually terrible enough for the Snake Clearing Eyes that he gained his own consciousness. He gained sentience. And the Snake of Clearing Eyes is directly responsible for helping his master's #1 wish. But because he has his own consciousness, he can now basically manipulate the plan to his own liking. And he decided to address her #1 wish of living her with the family together, and told her to make the Kagelore days. Because it's a great idea, right? In his opinion, at least. Anyway, she made it. She makes the Kagelore days, but before she can enter it with her family, you know, we know what happens. Terrible stuff happens. And Azumi despaired and went to the days by herself. If you don't know the story, watch the anime, it depicts it perfectly. But it's also in the manga and the novels, I believe. Anyway, goodbye, Azumi. And hundreds of years later, Azumi's daughter Shion has a beautiful daughter named Mary, and then one August 15th, they were attacked by humans, and they died. If you watched Imagination Forest or Kuso Forest, you know the story. Well, Azumi was watching them from the Kagelore days, and she brought them, and because she can do that apparently, and when she watched them die, she brought them in to the Kagelore days. And it turns out that Kagelore days is actually Kage Hell, Snake Hell. So in Snake Hell has a lot of rules. It turns out. But long story short, Azumi could only help one of them, because it turns out that her snakes can act as separate lives or surrogate lives for those that die and enter them, or enter the Kagelore days. It's a bit complicated, but she ends up giving Mary the Snake of Combining Eyes, which you know is the Queen Snake. Remember, if you have any questions though, to submit it to the Google form link that I put before, because I can just read all those after I'm done presenting. But anyway, back to the presentation, or this diagram. So Mary gets the Snake of Combining Eyes, which can control all the other snakes, and also controls the Kagelore days itself. This is important because what she did was she gave Mary the Queen Snake, and then sent her off to the real world after giving the Kagelore days its last command: swallow anyone who dies on the 15th. And Azumi can no longer control the days because the Queen Snake is gone. So every August 15th, it would swallow people who died, basically. And when I say swallow, I mean physically swallow. Their bodies go in there as well. And it turns out that the rest of the snakes did not like that. They want to be with the Queen, or the Queen Snake. They want to be with Mary, who is out in the real world, and they're stuck in the days themselves. They had to find a way to get out, and the way to do that was to leave through people who end up being stuck in the Kagelore days. I don't know what's going on in chat. I'm not gonna check chat. Anyway, so the Kagelore days, as I mentioned, has some rules. #1, if you die near where Mary and Shion died on August 15th, I say near, you get swallowed by the Kagelore days. Near is a pretty broad term though, because Basically, they died in the forest, but people who have died in the city and the ocean near the forest have also been swallowed by the days. It's a pretty large radius, but we assume it's not the whole world. Otherwise, I think a lot more people would notice that people are disappearing on the 15th. Number 2, if a swallowed person has a... So if a person who dies on the 15th, swallowed person, has a strong wish that the snake, that a snake can fulfill with its powers, then the snake can join with them in the Kagelore days and give them its powers and a way to leave the days itself. And lastly, if 2 or more people die together, then they will be taken to the days together. And as far as we know, if 2 or more people get in, only one can get out with a new snake. The Kagelore days have separate sets of realities for each way someone can die. Basically, if 2 people die, one person dies at school, one person dies in the hospital, they will each have their own pocket of a days. But if they end up getting stuck in there, they can visit each other, it turns out. It's kind of weird. Alright. Well, a bunch of snakes end up leaving, or 4 whole snakes end up leaving the days through the very tragic backstories of these characters that we know and love. As most of us know, these backstories are very tragic because these 4 all died with a loved one, who are stuck in the days. But anyway, Seto, Kido, and Kano, the babies, they end up being roommates together in an orphanage, and then they all get adopted by the Tateyama family. And Seto at the very left, he has snake stealing eyes, which can read thoughts, and at its very, very strongest, it can read true emotions. For a very wide radius. He tends to get overwhelmed, so one day he ran away from the city into the forest. And that's where he ran into Mary. And we... shit. And we know the story. Sorry. We know the story. If you don't know the story, then please just watch Kuso Forest, because it's told many times. Again. Years later, when Ayano's about to go to middle school, Ayaka, her mother, also the adoptive mother, Kido Kano Seto, she dies on August 15th and goes missing in a landslide. Turns out that when she died, Kenjiro also died, but he came back. He got better because he returned with the Snake of Clearing Eyes, who I am now going to call Sayuru. I'm sick of calling him Snake of Clearing Eyes. So Sayuru, he can do many things. One thing that he can do is he can take over his owner's body from sunset to dawn without their consent or knowledge, and use that time to fulfill his biggest wish. However, Sayuru still has his own consciousness and his own agenda, as I said before. So Kenjiro, his biggest wish at the time was to see his wife again, who was stuck in the Kagelore days. Sayuru's plan to work towards that wish was to bring all the snakes to the real world so that a new Medusa can be made, and this Medusa can merge the Kagelore days with reality, and that way Kenjiro can be his wife again. That it was his plan. Sayuru knew that there were still 4 snakes left in the Kagelore days, so he needed to find a way to get all 4 out. Afterwards, all the snake owners would just have to be killed, and that way all the snakes can be returned to Mary, so that she can combine them all together. Yay, easy. Should be noted that also during this time, so this is right before Ayano enters high school, the whole headphone actor plot happens, where Takana and Haruka set up a little stand and they meet Shintaro for the first time, and Ayano, at their school festival, and it's all very traumatic. And the biggest thing to note is, well, first off, this is on August 15th where no one dies, which is surprisingly enough, but second, this is 3 years before the plot kicks off, and Haruka and Takuna are Kenjiro's only students because they're special ed students. Their circumstances, or their chronic illnesses, make it so that they're the only 2 students for Kenjiro. The 4 of them end up becoming friends with Ayano and Shintaro when they join high school, and they form the UK quartet that we all know. Anyway, but before entering high school, Ayano finds out her father's snake plan. And with Kono's help, she breaks into his office and she finds out the whole plan that would result not only the death of her siblings, but also Takana and Haruka, because it turns out that they are perfect for the Kagelore days, and Kenjiro, well, Sayuri really planned to kill them so that they can get a snake each. So she begins to make her own plan and makes a wish. Her wish is to obtain her own snake to enter the when she enters the Kagelore days. And after obtaining her own snake, she will stay there so that all the snakes cannot be returned to the Medusa in the real world, and so Sayuri's plan should essentially fail. And her hope is that he will just drop the plan after seeing that he failed early on. So after she makes this plan, she meets up with him on the rooftop, she tries to negotiate with him, it fails, and so she throws herself off the rooftop to enter the days. We know it. This will go just as planned, we hope. Not really, because immediately after Ayano dies, Sayuri kills Haruka and Takana. Haruka, he was going to die anyway because of his chronic illness, but I think, or it wouldn't be surprising if Sayuri at least had a hand in making sure that he died on the 15th. He had a heart attack, definitely. So he dies first, and he enters the days by himself. Azami, she has met people in the days at this point. She tries to help him by telling him that his wish before dying was to have a strong body he could make friends with, and that the Snake of Awakening Eyes was perfect for that. However, the Snake of Awakening Eyes took the form of Haruka's video game avatar Konoha, which, you know, is on the right. Haruka was like, what the heck, no, I don't want that. And because he said that, his mind actually gets stuck in the Kagelore days while his body, with the Snake of Awakening Eyes, yeets off to the real world. And that's how Konoha is born. Haruka is stuck in the days, mentally. And then, not long after Haruka dies, Takana dies, and she gets opening eyes after her own version of Kagehel, which is the Heaven Nectar PV. Her subconsciousness gets separated from her body thanks to opening eyes. It's the whole point of the power. And her body is kept in an underground lab owned by Sayuri, so her mind gets lost in the internet for a whole year. Shintaro, meanwhile, lost all 3 of his friends in one day because he only had 3 friends. And he also ended up getting blamed for Ayano's death, actually, by Kano, who was pretending to be Ayano after she died, but because the forensics team, or the police, needed photos of her dead body. Pretty awful. Because of this, Shintaro has immense grief over his friends' deaths, and he drops out of high school and ends up not leaving his house for 2 years, 1 year before the start of the series, and then ends up emailing herself to him. I think I forgot pictures for this next part, but Kido, Seto, and Kano and Mary end up moving to their own apartment in the city away from Kenjiro. Kano is the only one who knows about Sayuri and his plan, and he cannot tell anyone else because Sayuri is blackmailing him, saying that he will kill Seto and Kido if he does anything that he doesn't want him to do. That made sense. Alright. So, next August 15th. Or aka the series as we know it. So I put Hibiya and Hiyori there because they end up in the days on this, but then also the whole terrorist situation also happens. So basically, if you've read the series, any plot, you know that there's a whole terrorist situation that happens in almost every single timeline where the dazed or the Mekakushidan tends to meet there. Worst day ever to leave home. Yeah, and sometimes they meet Hibiya too, and they help him out because they recognize that he just got these powers that they all have in common. Afterwards, after Hibiya gets focusing eyes, usually Sayuri will appear, and he will make contact with Konoha, and it turns out that the Snake of Clearing Eyes has this convenient ability to body hop. And when he does, he can take over Waking Eyes and use him to his full potential and be superhuman, and brutally murder the Mekakushidan in front of Mary after she has befriended them. This does 2 things. One, it forcibly returns the snakes, the den snakes, to Mary, because when a snake owner dies, their snake just immediately goes back to the owner of Combining Eyes. And number two, it makes Mary's number one wish to be with her friends again because they were brutally taken away from her. So after he's able to kill enough of them, Mary is able to basically Combining Eyes get strong enough to affect reality and time itself by rewinding it. And Mary's wish is to see her friends again. Those together basically make her rewind the world all the way back to its beginning. And when I say all the way back to the beginning, I mean up to the time where Azami herself is born. And apparently this is Sayada's plan. He wants to reset the world because he feels like it failed after Azami fell in love with Tsukihiko, so he wants to reset all the way back to where Azami starts. And it's just a cycle. It just keeps happening over and over. So that is the problem of the series. That is the main conflict. They're stuck in a time loop because this asshole snake just keeps coming back and killing them. So how do they get out of this rut? Well, Lost Time Memory in 2013 proved to us that Shintaro has an eye power, yet as lore was expanded about the snakes, people realized that his snake was not popping up. He never seemed to show an eye power in the series. And it turns out there was a reason why. The anime came out and proved to us that his eye power, his eye power, retaining eyes, allows him to remember everything that he sees. And adds full potential, he can remember past timelines, also called routes. And so in the anime, you know, he sees Ayano and he's like, oh dang, I remember now. Yeah. But to explain Retaining Eyes a bit, her backstory is in all of it's like the whole second part of the manga basically explains the origins of Retaining Eyes and how this very convenient eye power was made. Let me know if you want me to explain the actual manga plot, but I will not explain in full detail. I'll just explain the ending first, so spoilers, haha. But the Iono of another timeline had asked Mary to turn her into Snake of Retaining Eyes, because Mary had the wish to remember past routes to prevent the tragedy. It was very frustrating that no one can remember everyone dying brutally. And Iona asked Mary to give the snake to Shintaro. This was done before the manga route, the novel route, and the anime route, so Shintaro remembers all those past timelines, or he can, at least. This Snake of Retaining Eyes, she's also dubbed Yaki by the fandom because Snake of Retaining Eyes is heavy, no met, something. It's like Meni Yaki Sukeru or something. So people like to call her Yaki, I do. She's very sweet in the manga, but the fandom knew about her existence for quite a while, so they gave her this edgy personality, which I am a huge fan of. If you ever see Ayano drawn with like snake scales on her cheeks, usually that's referring to Yaki actually, so just a heads up. I put it in my own fan art of her, just to show Goth Ayano in her truest. She is fanon, and I am a big fan of her fan and personality. I totally forgot to mention her in the Nekokushi Rewind episode. That'll be aired later today. Okay. Am I going to talk about Root XX in the Twitch chat? No, I am not. I can if you want me to. But okay. Snake Retaining Eyes allows Shintaro to remember everything he sees, including past timelines. In the anime, Shintaro remembers past timelines. He remembers how to enter the days by himself. Because he can. He enters the days, he meets Ayano there. He tells Ayano, let's get out of here, baby. She's like, okay, baby. They get out. He tells Ayano, hey, this is how Mary can control the Kagelore days. Ayano's like, okay, cool. They go to the down. Ayano has the power to transfer her memories and feelings to anyone. She tells Mary, hey, this is how I control the Kagelore days. Mary's like, oh shit, okay. She does it. Kagelore days merges with reality. I am summarizing the ending of the anime really quickly. Kagelore days merges with reality. Kenjiro meets with his wife. His wish is fulfilled. He is happy. So, fun fact about snakes. If the wish that they are living on is fulfilled to its entirety and can no longer be fulfilled, the snake can actually die. It can stop existing, essentially. So, when Kenjiro's wish was fully fulfilled, Saito actually began to stop existing because he no longer had a body to live with. because he couldn't really fulfill Konoha slash Haruko's wish to make friends. So he started dying. And he was really, really desperate to find a wish to live on, and Konoha's last wish became to give a life to Hiyori. And Hiyori, her last wish, or her wish at the time, was simply to live, because she was stuck in the Kagelore days. So she wanted to live, which Saito can fill just by being a snake inside of her. So basically, Saito was able to fill her number one wish of staying alive. He can't disappear with that wish because it would be counterproductive too. And because of this, his consciousness is actually suppressed because he cannot rebel against this wish. He's fulfilling it. I hope that made sense. That is how you defeat Saito. You gotta give him a wish that he cannot manipulate. And Hiyori's wish was just to stay alive. Okay, that's how Kuroha is defeated. Mary is able to return the snakes to their owners and take them all back to the real world because she has control over her abilities, and thus everyone has their summertime record. The PV doesn't show, but Ayano Hiyori should be here too because they also get a happy ending, surprisingly. Happy 815, thank you for listening to my presentation on the meta. Oh god. I'm going to take a drink of water and then check if there are any questions in the Google form. Alright, I did it in about 30 minutes. Cool. Thank you. Also, this is my card. I usually go by Yoomster, but on Instagram there's one extra R at the end. I like to draw. I also do like to write, but I don't think my archive of my own is actually in my card. Yeah, I really did rush at the end. You could tell that I was tired of making the presentation itself, but I am happy to answer any questions or go into any detail. But yes, if you have any questions, I'll start answering them now. Here is the Google form again. I can try to link it. Here we go. And let me go to Google Forms. Oh dear, excuse me. Oh wow, that's a lot of questions. Okay, let's do these in order. How the hell do I do these in order? Okay, let's do this. Should I put this form up on the screen, or should I just read them aloud? You just rushed the ending like the anime. Very rude, Windows XP 200427. Okay, I'll put it on screen so everyone can read it. Alright. So, I will read the responses from top to bottom, though I have the feeling it's actually the other way around. Okay. 1. Wait, I thought the school festival where Takano Haruka met Shintaro Ayano was in October or November. That was when school festivals usually happen in Japan, which would mean Ayaka died on August 15th before the one where the UK Quartet died. I thought that the festival was in August. Am I wrong? Huh. You know, it really doesn't matter that much actually, but I legit thought that that was in August. Huh. Interesting. I thought it was part of the Obon festival, but I'm not too sure on Japanese culture, honestly, so I will not claim to be an expert on that. No, I'm wrong. It's in autumn. Interesting. I totally thought it was in August. Well, I am wrong. Cool. No, calendars are wrong. I am wrong with calendars. I'm sorry. But Ayaka does die before... She does die before the UK Quartet meets. That is true because she died, at least in the manga timeline, she died when Ayano was entering middle school. It's safe to assume that she died around the same time. Because in the anime at least, Kido was wearing a school uniform. I don't know. Times are a little bit iffy. Okay, number 2. Yums, did you know that I love you? I love you too, Anonymous. Thank you. Number 3. Can people in the days be aware of what's going on in the human world while they are inside of it? I've seen people commenting that Iono can see everything going on in timelines while there, but I don't think so. Canon-wise, the only ones that we know that can see out of the days were Azami and Haruka. I say were because I'm not sure if Azami can look outside the days anymore. It's possible that she was only able to do that with focusing eyes, because even though she didn't have combining eyes in the Kagelore days, she was able to use eye abilities as long as they were still in the days. Once the snake left the days, she couldn't use that ability anymore. So for a while she used opening eyes in the days. So it's possible that she used focusing eyes to look outside the world, or outside the Kagelore days, because it has been proven that focusing eyes can go between realities. But I don't think anyone else can, including Ayano. She literally spent 2 years just sitting at a desk or falling and, you know, no entertainment. Sucks for her. And Haruka, he can see outside thanks to Konoha. His days is kind of special. It lets him watch everything through Konoha's point of view, including when the Snake of Clearing Eyes takes over. He can watch outer signs from a first-person perspective. Someone in the Twitch chat, Deceiving Looks, asked, wasn't Ayano watching Shintaro, or was that Yaki? It was shown like that at the end of the manga. That was Yaki. Yaki, when she uses retaining eyes, it's given the point of view of her looking through Shintaro's brain, or his brain, his eyes. It just looks like the days. Shintaro's brain really looks like the days. It's interesting. Looks like a classroom. Okay. Next question. Kano, what is the involvement in the truck accident? Was an accident, wasn't intentional? Also, what was the deal with Kano and the fake bodies in the anime? Kano is involved with the truck accident. Basically, the truck accident was entirely coordinated by Sairu, slash Kenjiro. It was intentionally planned to kill both Hibiya and Hiyori so they can enter the days and one of them can get out with focusing eyes. It doesn't matter who. Kano's involvement was to lure them to the spot where they would get killed. At least it's implied to be that in the novels, because he transforms to Black Cat, which lures them out to the street. And again, he's being blackmailed into doing all these terrible things. But it is very likely he is directly involved in Hibiya and Hiyori's death by truck. In the anime, they are killed a little bit more directly. They're being kidnapped and get smashed by a truck after Konoha goes rage mode. What's the deal with Kano and the fake body in the anime? Well, when someone enters the Kagelore days, they get swallowed, so their body disappears as well. When Ayano committed suicide off the rooftop, Sairu decided that he wanted this to be publicized, so that she would be reported as dead instead of missing, he had Kano pretend to be Ayano's dead body, so that there could be physical evidence of her death, basically. Someone asked, is there a reason need to be Hibiya and Hiyori? They were convenient, I think. That's really it. You know, just, it was easy to find two people. I don't know. Maybe he determined that they were best focusing eyes, and he did all these questionnaires beforehand. Someone asked, okay, but there was a second Kano body in the tank inside his lab. That was Haruka's body. It was actually Konoha. What exactly is Opening Eye's exact power? It can have been purely for Cyber being existence, as it was created way before internet was a thing. So Opening Eyes allows Azumi to separate her consciousness from her body. I don't know how that could have been relevant before technology. I'm so sorry, but it's possible she just astral projected herself into other people, and she was able to, you know, save her life a couple times that way, you know? Just to be like that, and then it turns out that her powers can adapt to technology. How cool is that? What do the 4 black pages at the end of volume 10 mean? Oh god. Which manga volume do I have on me right now? Let's see. I keep my Kagelore volumes like in my living room, but I do have a couple here in my bedroom right now. I have volume 12. Shoot, I don't remember which volume 10 is. Usually when the pages are pure black, that's when they're in the days itself, especially when someone has just died and entered the days, but that's not necessarily true. Should I run to my living room and go check out volume 10? I don't know. Well, pages were just all black. Usually it means that they're in the days. That's all I can really say about that. Can you explain what happens in the manga plot and where can I read it? Oh lord. You mean like everything? I deliberately avoided explaining the full manga plot because I was like, people can just read this instead of me just explaining it, especially Ayano's backstory and how it's different in manga Route 2. Because the manga depicts two time routes, and the first one ends very abruptly because it was very similar to the one presented in the novels, and then the second one is very different from the other routes that we know so far, where everyone's backstory is a bit different. Where can you read it? I strongly encourage you to read it legally, aka online, or no, not online, not through pirated sites, but like if you read it online through ebooks, or you could buy physical copies yourself like I have. Jin is currently struggling with sales, it seems, or he's struggling with financial support, so just supporting him in any way possible is great, especially by reading the plot legally. But basically some differences between the manga plot in the second route and the general Kagelore that we know. Ayano, or rather Mary, let's start with Mary. She joins the Tateyama family when Seto's still young instead of like when he's a teenager. And she ends up getting adopted by them, so she meets Ayano while young. Ayano ends up dying with Kenjiro and Ayaka, and only Ayano escapes the Kagerou days alive. And she has a total mental breakdown, and she decides that she wants to kill Mary because she finds out that Mary is the new queen, or the new Medusa, and she believes that killing her is the best way to avoid misfortune. She is wrong. I'll say that. She's very wrong. Oh. Maybe. So I can see that someone sent me a message on Discord. Let's see what that is. Thank you. There's just four. I see that there are just 4 black pages. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what this black pages refer to. But yes, Ayano in the manga plot, she's quite different, I'll say that. Another big difference is that she does not meet Shintaro because she doesn't go to school after her parents die. And so she never meets him, and she only meets him because he's involved with the Kagerou days because of Momo. She still ends up getting favoring eyes. Yeah, Ayano's really pissed, also she is like 12. A lot of people are not happy with the manga plot. I personally really like it. I really like Ayano and Yaki. Alright, next question. If you want me to explain more of the manga plot, let me know, but I'm moving on if that's okay. Is the manga ongoing? No, it is over. As far as we know. It ended with revealing Retaining Eye's origins and how she came to be. Last year. When did Saito start calling himself that, or who gave him that name? So his official name has been Snake of Clearing Eyes for a little bit. I say a little bit because for a while the official guidebooks like listed him as like question marks. But eventually we realized Snake is Snake Clearing Eyes. There's like some sort of Saito in there. It's his nickname. Yumes, where do you find copies of the novels? I live in America, so Barnes and Noble was where I got my copies. If I'm being very obvious. Very obvious, very honest. Oh god, words. I have tried to find other links to find the novels. I have provided online links for them in my Kagepro Twitter, which is Yumes_Kagepro. Let's go down. Next question. In fact, why is Kagahel? In the last chapters of the novels, they explain that each individual days is a representation of their hearts. So Shintaro is a street, he went with Iono in the Eternal Sunset, but why did he babies get infinite death? I know infinite because it's the days where time repeats, but why the accidents? So, Kagahel is based on someone's heart when they enter the days, and usually when they enter the days, it's also affected by the circumstances of their death. I say usually, that's not always the case. But for Hibiya and Hiyori, unfortunately, the days took on their deaths quite literally. There are theories as to why they were stuck in infinite death loop, while others have not been in the days. My personal theory is that Hibiya and Hiyori are almost equally compatible for focusing eyes. So the reason why they go through so many time loops is because the days can't decide basically which one gets a snake. But it's not proven necessarily why the days is just so different for them, and why the days is so horrible. It's just pretty terrible. Hope that answers your question. Next, why could Konoha see inside Hiyori and Hibiya's days? I'm like, who's he? Hidi. Oh, that's hard to say. Why could Konoha see inside their days? So, Konoha's Day of the World proves that Konoha can see inside their days, and the answer for that is rather unclear, except in the anime, for sure, Konoha does enter the Kagelore days with Hibiya and Hiyori, and it's insinuated that he does that in other timelines too, including the song routes and the novel route, yeah. Why? It's implied that he just dies with them, but he gets better, because Awakening Eyes lets you do that. Awakening Eyes is like the strongest snake physically. You can just get better after dying with it. So he entered the days with them, and he got out with Hibiya, it seems. Genuinely, that seems to be the story. It's not very touched upon, especially since Konoha doesn't really have a lot to say, but it seems like that's like one of the things that Hibiya can remember from the Kagelore days, that Konoha enters with him. Have I been reading these questions wrong? I'll reread this question. Like, oh god, what's happening? Why was the Kagelore days snake hell? Actually, wait, no. What are some major Jin theories? I don't know what that means. Next question. Have any other snakes been confirmed to have free will that isn't quote-unquote I want to be with the queen snake? Yes. In the novels, some snakes, like the snake of deceiving eyes and the snake of opening eyes, have been shown to be able to talk to their future owners in the Kagelore days. The snake of opening eyes talks to Anna directly in the manga at least, and the snake of deceiving eyes talks to Kano in novel 4. And they can be pretty sassy, but they don't really seem to have any agenda besides I am joining you during those scenes, admittedly. So do they have any real personality that we know of? No, not really. Jin story is a mystery involving Jin or a plot hole. Oh, there's a couple of those. One that I could think of off the top of my head is how does Shintaro exit the Kagelore days, basically, in the anime? Because he enters it via scissors. Like, is Yaki really the reason why he gets out? Like, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, with Ayano? That's my theory, but like, nothing's really proven for a lot of these theories, so I would like things to get proven. I don't know what your question is referring to, Luna Lanterns, I'm sorry. I'm getting everything mixed up. Cause people, oh, my thing keeps resetting because I keep getting new responses, I see. Okay, we are running out of time, I need to get through these quickly. Why was the Kagelore Day snake hell if Azami supposedly had control with combining eyes? At least in the anime it is, but in the novels it's a recreation of Azami's home in the real world. I don't know. If I'm being honest, it just seems like maybe Saito told her how to make it incorrectly, because he was the one who instructed her how to make Snake Hell itself. So it's possible that she just made it badly, and once she was in there, she couldn't really change it anymore. Who knows? Maybe she just realized that being alone with a bunch of snakes in eternity is not fun. Someone asked a cool question in the Twitch chat: is the city in Yobanashi deceived Kano's days? I would actually say yes, because the novels have revealed that his days is a dark city, so it is implied to be his days, very much so. Next question was, why could Ayano enter the days alone? Wasn't dying in a pair a requirement? Dying in a pair is not a requirement to enter the days. Characters who have entered alone are the entire Yuki quartet. Haruka and Takane both enter the days alone. You do not need to be in a pair to get in there or to get out. It's just being in a pair means that only one of you can get out. It sucks, really. Question: how was Konoha able to be present in Hibiya's days? As I mentioned, he literally dies with Hibiya and Hiyori. He just gets better. He can literally just walk out, it seems. Next question: when is the information about Haruka rejecting Konoha as his new body brought up canonly? It is brought up in the anime, I think episode 10? Somewhere in the late anime. It happens. It's an entire scene. So watch the anime, it is very informative about the plot. Episode 7, thank you. Does Ayano choose to stay in the Kagelore days and get out whenever she does, like when she and Shintaro walk out stopside in the last episode of the anime? So Ayano does choose to stay in the Kagelore days. The thing is, the Kagelore days does not have a calendar, and time goes by very slowly in there. One day in the real world can be several thousands of years in the Kagelore days, for all you know. So she's definitely in there in her own will, but she cannot get out because she cannot tell what time it is in the real world when she's in there. That's why she needed Shintaro to get out, because she had no idea that it was August 15th. I mean, she did have a little bit of an idea because Hibiya entered, or like Hibiya came in and out, and she saw him, so she's like, it's been another year, but she doesn't know exactly like if it was still August 15th, if she can really get out, or if this was just if she was just gonna be there. Yeah. So that's why. When did Mary gain locking eyes? Is it a genetic thing because she's part Medusa? Is it a bit special case of snake powers? She didn't have to die to get it, since when she did die, that she got combining, alright? She got combining, right? Yes, locking eyes, which is the ability to turn people into stone, or in Mary's case, just paralyze them momentarily. That is genetic, and part of being Medusa is not based on Asami's wish. It is just a part of being a snake. Because snakes can do that in real life, turn people into stone. Next question. Why did Saito know the repeating timelines and people who get snakes in each timeline? Was a part of his powers as a snake? We do not know why Saito can remember past timelines. It's very strange. He just can do that. Saito seems to be able to reject certain rules of reality. Maybe it's because he was made around the same time as the Queen. I do not know. He just seems to have his own rules that he plays by separately. And he just can remember. He also just happens to know who is best for the snakes left in the days, probably just by research. He has a lot of money and influence while controlling Kinjiro, and so he's able to get a lot of information by not legal matters. And he's able to kill people and not get in trouble with this influence. Let's see. When did Saito start calling himself that? I already answered this. Why does Konoha have super strength and superhuman abilities? Because Awakening Eyes can do that, and they just Awakening Eyes just assume that that's the type of body that Haruka wanted, and it's the type of body that got out. It's really strong, and it does imply that Azumi can do the same thing. Well, she could. Not anymore. Is it known how much Kano was interacting with the UK quartet while disguised? At least like several days, I would say. Quite a lot. In the or in the novels, he like casually has lunch with them, and they have no idea that's him. Um, it is possible that the reason why Ayano has such bad grades is because Kano stood in for a very long time for her. It's not very clear. Okay, I'm rushing through these because we're low on time. Thank you everyone for your questions. This is so great. Scrolling down because I keep getting new questions. Okay, I already answered this one. All snakes have some sort of ability or power. What is Sayudu's? Sayudu's is to be a little bitch. I am not joking. It seems like Sayudu's ability really is to manipulate his master because he has his own agenda. That's the thing. Unlike other snakes, except for retaining eyes, he has his own consciousness. So he can do what he wants. He also has a wish while serving the wish of his master. And so it seems like his power literally is to advise his master on their number one wish as they're living. Because their wish and sorry, ignore that last one, but basically he can just tell them what to do, or he can just do it for them if they're human. He can take over their body and work towards that wish. However, because he has his own agenda, whatever work that he does in their bodies will actually be for his own plan rather than theirs. Someone says he can nullify the other snakes. That is actually untrue. Sayudu cannot nullify other snake powers. That is a false fact from the Wikipedia that has been removed. The manga and the novels have proven that other snake powers can suppress him just a little bit. Like, for example, he is vulnerable to a very strong use of concealing eyes. I say very strong because he can overpower it just by looking at them. But if Mary uses it against him, he can be trapped for a little while. Next question. Is Momo sucking a test because of her eyes, like unconsciously drawing attention to herself? Like the snake pops up to help her fail in spectacular ways because she's stressed? She's stressed? That's an interesting theory, but as far as I know, no, she's just not book smart. And she just gets bad grades. Next question. Is the mall attack important at all? Like, is secretly funding terrorist organizations? That is actually hinted. It's hinted that the reason why the terrorist attack happens is because Sayudu is behind the scenes influencing it. The main piece of evidence for that is actually the In a Days movie, which shows that the terrorist leader was in that timeline had Sayudu inside of him, or he had the snake clearing eyes because the snake clearing eyes was just for funsies dealing with that. Yeah. It's implied that the reason why the terrorist organization all happens is to bring the Mekakushi down together, so that they can meet each other to help fuel Mary's wish to reset time once they're all killed. Next question. It's been a while since I've really been to Kagepro's lore. Okay, it's alright. How did Taka and Haruka get their eyes powers exactly? From what I remember, Sayudu tricked the days into thinking the two's mind and body were separate entities, which the days consume one and give the other an eye power / new form. This is actually a huge fan theory that was later just sort of like realized that is not true. This was when people believed that two people were needed to enter the days for one to get out. I was a huge fan of this theory, but Ayano has proven that you do not need a partner to get out of the days. How did they get in and out? They are just compatible with the days, that's it, really. Sayudu definitely had he did some tricks, I would say, to get Ena essentially trapped in the internet and to get Konoha to be docile, I would say, and stay with him. But, they just enter by themselves and they just get out by themselves because the days does not require two people, and the days did not need to be tricked to think that they were two entities. Okay. Next question. How did Sayudu firstly, how did Sayudu do all that? How did he separate the two's minds and body as distinct entities? Did he surgically remove all connections between the body and the mind before the tragedy stroke? Did he destroy one moments before the other? Again, he did not do all that, so don't worry. He just never did it. He did not separate their minds and bodies because You don't need a partner to enter the days. Or to enter the days and to get out of the days. It just seems like you might be a bit more compatible if you do. I don't know. Scroll down. Secondly, how did Takuna and Haruka return to their original states? For Haruka, I could see why the down got him back at the NMCA, but I don't get how Takuna got her own body back. If we're going off of what I said before the day, shouldn't her body could be swallowed and lost in the days? Because she retains her memories after she becomes Ene, it makes her believe that her eye ability was to give minor body. Body was taking a sacrifice for that ability, so how decided to keep her body intact? So again, you don't need a partner to leave the days. When Ene left the days, her body left too, but Saito made sure that her mind and body were disconnected, which is opening eyes ability. So because her body and mind were separated after she got in the days, and then her mind was just cast out, her body stayed inside his lab. That's why. It's not stuck in the days. No. I hope my rushed answers are making sense. I have like a minute left. How many timelines are there overall? Canon-wise, we know at least like 5. There's probably like several hundred. Maybe several thousand. We don't know. I answered these questions because the questions are now shuffling. Thank you, Google Forms. Can you please explain any symbolism present in the series, such as the doors? 107, cats, Cetas. Cetas are summer, cats are sneaky, especially black cats. Black cats are bad luck. Door 07, I have no idea. That's the room that the Mecha 3 Trio stayed in the orphanage. Is anything confirmed considering what happened to Konoha and Saito at the very end? I know Konoha and Haruka's appearance seemed to merge, but I didn't know there was much said about the situation. Konoha is dead. I'm so sorry. Konoha stopped existing when Haruka returned to his body and his mind was once again number 1 of his body. Konoha only existed because Haruka's mind and his body were separated. Once they were back together, Konoha stopped existing. Because, as we know, snakes are no longer conscious once they are with their master in their bodies. Question: When did they reset back in the loops? Did they go back to the beginning of the universe, or is it just to the start of August 15th? They reset all the way to the back of the beginning of the universe with Azami's birth. All the way to the beginning, where there's darkness and eyes. Has Mecha City Reload been confirmed to be a sequel, prequel, reboot, or continuation? I think it's been confirmed to be a sequel. I did like this whole podcast episode about it. Someone said Haruka's wish was also fulfilled, so Awakening Konoha ceased to exist. That is not necessarily true, because if Awakening ceased to exist, Haruka would be dead. But Haruka's wish was to continue to be with his friends, and Konoha can fulfill that by keeping him alive. It's just that Konoha is no longer conscious. So he is essentially dead, because he cannot come back. As far as we know. As far as we know. Maybe number 9 will prove otherwise. You said not all day situations fit with the cause of death. Which one doesn't? Headphone actor is the one I'm thinking of the most. Because Takuna died, it's insinuated by formaldehyde or by chemicals, but her daze is a city crumbling into pieces while she has to run away from it. It's a very strange daze. Also, Shintaro's, his daze and lost to memory is an endless classroom while he dies by getting shot in the head and by scissors in the PV. Ayano's days is what we see in additional memory, and the anime, it's like based off school, which I guess does make sense with her death actually. But yeah, sometimes the days is not related to their deaths, or like the physical aspects of their deaths, but sometimes it's very physical, as in Kito's days, where hers is just on fire. Has Shintaro told other Shidan members about the multiple groups, or has he kept it to himself, or has that not been shown in any material yet? It has just not been shown in any material. He has definitely told Ayano at least, but you know, that's just what fanfiction is for. Write good fanfics of him telling the others of what it's like and being traumatized about it. Are there any characters that we still haven't seen the heat haze of? Seto. We have not seen Seto or Momo's, I believe. We have seen about everyone else's. Okay. Why does Saito only change what Konoha looks like while saying everyone stays the same when he possesses them? Because once Sayuri reaches Konoha, it's endgame. Once he goes to Konoha, he plans to kill them. He doesn't plan to take over anyone else's body. When he's taking over Kenjiro and Hibiya, as he takes over Hibiya in the manga, he's still pretending to be them. So he still has uses by pretending to be them and not changing their appearances, basically. But once he goes to Konoha, he is ready to kill. He does not need to hide the fact that he is not Konoha. He is just ready to destroy. Also, yeah, Awakening Ice is the only body that he's able to change his appearance with to begin with. Forgot about that entirely. Awakening Ice, if you know how to use it, you can change your appearance, you can change your powers, or your physical powers, and Sayuri can do just that, because he knows how snakes work. Do you think the Christian story of the devil tempting Eve with the form of a snake was Jin's inspiration for the snake clearing eyes? Yeah, actually, that makes plenty of sense. That would be pretty cool, actually. I've seen art depicting a red apple plenty of times to represent wishes and desires, and how they're seen as sin, essentially, because Sayuri does not approve of Azami having desires besides knowing her own existence. How did Shintaro activate his power, since technically he has it since before he was born after the manga's timeline? He can activate it after a strong emotional response after on August 15th, it seems like. Sadly, it seems to just take that long. In the anime, he activates after he sees a picture of Ayano. It also activates after he kills Ene and Aru XX. Yeah. Why does Clearing Eyes want to make Mary reset the timeline when his end goal is to take over her body? Is his end goal to take over her body? Oh my god, I don't remember that. He wants to reset the timeline because the world is not fit for him or Azami, and he wants it to be redone. I don't know, it doesn't make much sense. That was his goal during the manga, at least. Maybe it has changed a bit since there's been several routes since then. We don't know. I don't know, at least. What is the reason the terrorist Inades has red eyes in the beginning? Is kind of related to it. As I said before, I believe it's hinted that that is actually Sayuri, who has body hopped from Kenjiro to the terrorist leader. The reason why he did that also is because he was planning to kill everyone anyway, with the bombs. Oops, spoiler at the end of the movie. Love you, Yums. Thank you for the screen. I learned from it. Has your day been good? Thank you, last person. I spent quite a while last night working on this presentation and I got barely any sleep. I woke up like after napping. I'm sorry, I haven't been at the con, I was napping. And I was like, oh, time to the panel. So thank you everyone who joined me. This was a lot of fun. I'm so glad to see that people are so curious about Kagelore. I hope that everyone learned a lot. And I hope that I was able to answer people's questions. I see there's another question. In the light novel, Sayuri aims for Mary and intends to kill her, but he can't kill her if he wants her to rewind time. How does that make sense? I don't know. Honestly, this is something I've asked myself many times. He does try to kill her. He literally says, "Have you thought that I wouldn't try to kill you?" And he rips off her arm, but it was not her arm. I don't know, but it seems like he thinks that she can survive and she can still rewind time. Maybe. I do not know. Sorry. Thank you everyone who's been joining. It is past 3, so I think I should end this panel so that the next panels aren't interrupted. Thank you again so much, everyone. Have a great August 15th. Let's days. Be sure to stay cool, stay hydrated, enjoy the rest of your Dazecon. Yes, thank you. And if you ever have any questions, I am always open to DMs on Instagram or Twitter. I'm Yumster. My Twitter is YumsKagerPro. But yes, thank you everyone. I will now end the stream. You're all lovely. Have a great day.